Welcome to week 7 of our Management 301 class. This week we're going to be looking at Chapter 7, Designing Organization Structure. Organization structure is one vital factor that helps managers execute their strategies and achieve their goals. In recent years, many companies have realigned departmental groupings, change of command, and horizontal coordination mechanisms to attain new strategic goals or to cope with a turbulent environment. As we've seen with examples in previous chapters, many companies are flattening their hierarchies and cutting out layers of management to improve efficiency and to be more flexible. Some people thrive in these kinds of less hierarchical, even bossless organizations, whereas others have a strong preference for a clearly defined vertical structure. Indeed, after online retailer Zappos shifted to a bossless structure, more than 200 employees took severance pay and left the company rather than work in the new structure. Research reported in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology suggests that many people embrace hierarchies because they provide comfort in a chaotic world. In other words, people are naturally drawn to hierarchy because it lessens the stress of uncertainty. Section 7.1, Organizing the Vertical Structure. The organization process leads to the creation of organization structure, which defines how tasks are divided and resources deployed. Organization structure is defined as the set of formal tasks assigned to individuals and departments, formal reporting relationships including lines of authority, decision responsibility, number of hierarchical levels, and span of managers' control, and thirdly, the design of systems to ensure effective coordination of employees across departments. Organizing is the deployment of organizational resources to achieve strategic goals. Organizing is important because it follows from strategy. Strategy defines what we do, and organizing defines how we do it. So as I mentioned, organizational structure, it's the set of formal tasks assigned to individuals and departments, formal reporting relationships, and the design of systems to ensure effective coordination of employees across department. Organizational chart is the visual representation of an organization's structure. 7.1 in our textbook gives you an organizational chart for a water bottling plant. That can be found on page 229 in your textbook. Division of labor. Organizations perform a wide variety of tasks. A fundamental principle is that work can be performed more efficiently if employees are allowed to specialize. The division of labor, sometimes called work specialization, is the degree to which organizational tasks are subdivided into separate jobs. When an organization faces new strategic issues, managers often create new positions or departments to deal with them. The division of labor is losing popularity because too much specialization can lead to employee isolation and boredom. More and more you are seeing cross-training to where employees are being trained in multiple parts of the company. Chain of command. It's an unbroken line of authority that links all employees in an organization and shows who reports to whom. Work specialization, or placing responsibility for distinct organizational tasks into separate jobs, is also known as A. Division of labor, B. Span of management, C. Matrix approach, or D. Workflow technology. If you chose A, division of labor, you were correct. Authority, responsibility, and delegation. Authority is the formal and legitimate right of a manager to make decisions, issue orders, and allocate resources to achieve organizationally desired outcomes. Authority is vested in organizational positions, not people. Authority flows down the vertical hierarchy, and authority is accepted by the subordinates. Responsibility is the duty to perform the task or activity as assigned. Accountability is the mechanism through which authority and responsibility are aligned. And then delegation, the process that managers use to transfer authority and responsibility down the hierarchy. Line authority. Managers have formal authority to direct and control immediate subordinates. Line departments perform tasks that reflect the organization's primary goal and mission. And then there's staff authority. Staff authority is narrow authority that includes the right to advise, recommend, and counsel in the staff specialist area of expertise. And then staff departments support line departments. Span of management. Span of management is the number of employees reporting to a supervisor. Less supervision, larger spans of control. Work is stable and routine. Subordinates perform similar work in one location. Subordinates are highly trained. Rules and procedures are defined. Support systems and personnel are available. There are few non-supervisory activities, and manager prefers a large span. Tall structure. That is a span of management that is narrow and has many hierarchical levels. Flat structure is a span of management that is wide and has few hierarchical levels. Common structural problem is too many levels with a span that is too narrow. 7.2 shows us a reorganization and span of management. So the old tall structure you can see in part A at the top. B is the new flat structure. Centralization and decentralization. Centralization and decentralization pertain to the hierarchical level at which decisions are made. Centralization decision authority is located near the top of the organization. Small restaurants, for example, small restaurants in a business demanding top quality food and cleanliness, such as Chipotle, are sometimes centralized in their work procedures and decision making as described in our chapter on page 235. Decentralization is decision authority is pushed downward to lower organizational levels. Organizations may have to experiment to find the correct hierarchical level at which to make decisions. Factors that influence centralization, rapid change and uncertainty in the environment are associated with decentralization. Fits the firm's strategy, and then crisis requires centralization. Not every organization should decentralize all decisions. Remember that. Which of the following characteristics is usually associated with organizations that use a decentralized structure? A, tight vertical control. B, mass production. C, change and uncertainty. Or D, large number of hierarchical levels. If you said C, change and uncertainty, you would be correct. Departmentalization. Departmentalization is the basis for grouping positions into departments and departments into the total organization. There are 5 approaches: functional, divisional, matrix, teamwork, and virtual network. So you can see here the vertical function, the matrix, the divisional, team-based, and virtual network. In a functional structure, also called a U-form or unitary structure, activities are grouped together by common function from the bottom to the top of the organization. The functional structure groups positions into departments based on similar skills, expertise, work activities, and resource use. Divisional approach. Divisional structure departments are grouped together based on similar organizational outputs, geographic or customer-based divisions, and it focuses company activities on the local market conditions, and the competitive advantage is selling a product adapted to a given country. In a divisional structure, divisions are created as self-contained units which separate functional departments for each division. The primary difference between divisional and functional structures is that in a divisional structure, the chain of command from each function converges lower in the hierarchy. The divisional structure encourages decentralization. Decision-making is pushed down at least one level in the hierarchy, freeing the president and other top managers to engage in strategic planning. There you can see the functional versus divisional structures that is shown on page 241 of your textbook. And then Exhibit 7.5, geographic-based global organization structure. The matrix approach combines aspects of both functional and divisional structures simultaneously in the same part of the organization. The matrix structure evolved as a way to improve horizontal coordination and information sharing. One unique feature of the matrix is its dual lines of authority. In Exhibit 7.6, the functional hierarchy of authority runs vertically and the divisional hierarchy of authority runs horizontally. The matrix structure therefore supports a formal chain of command for both functional vertical and divisional horizontal relationships, and as a result of this dual structure, some employees report to 2 supervisors simultaneously, and the dual lines of authority make the matrix unique. And here in Exhibit 7.6, you can see how that sometimes the employees have two bosses that they report to simultaneously. Global matrix structure, 7.7, you have the chief executive officer, and then you have the different countries in which this company operates, and then those managers would report to the CEO. So 2 boss employees are employees who report to 2 supervisors simultaneously and must resolve conflicting demands from the matrix bosses. Matrix boss is the product of a functional boss who is responsible for one side of the matrix. And then you have the top leader is the person who oversees both the product and functional chains of command and is responsible for the entire matrix. Some people argue that the matrix structure should be adopted only as a last resort because the dual chains of command can create more problems than they solve. Do you agree or disagree, and why? Many experts believe that the matrix structure should be adopted only after other structures have been tried because it requires extensive training to help people understand the dual hierarchies. A matrix structure may evolve back into a functional or divisional structure if one side becomes more powerful than the other. Dual chains of command may create more problems than they solve, and recent thinking on organization structure suggests that a matrix is appropriate in only a few situations. Most organizations can meet coordination needs with other forms such as functional structure with lateral relationships. Team approach. Cross-functional teams consist of employees from various functional departments who are responsible to meet as a team and resolve mutual problems. Permanent teams, groups of employees who are organized in a way similar to a formal department. Team-based structure. The entire organization is made up of horizontal teams that coordinate their work and work directly with customers to accomplish the organization's goals. 7.8 shows the interactions among multiple functions of teams. Team approach. Advantages of team approach. It breaks down barriers across departments, improving coordination and cooperation. It enables rapid adaptation to environmental changes and consumer requests, and it boosts employee morale. Disadvantages are employees may experience dual loyalties, requires increased coordination efforts and time, can cause greater decentralization and loss of the big picture. Virtual network approach. Outsourcing, farming out certain activities such as manufacturing or credit processing. Virtual network structure, the firm subcontracts most of its major functions to separate companies and coordinates their activities from a small organization at headquarters. So you have a central hub, and then you would subcontract out other parts. 7.9, network approach due to departmentalization. 7, Exhibit 710 gives us the structural advantages and disadvantages of each of those listed. You can look at that in more detail on page 250 of your textbook. 7.3, organizing for horizontal coordination. One reason for the growing use of teams and networks is that many managers recognize the limits of traditional vertical organization structures in a fast-shifting environment. Regardless of the type of structure, every organization needs mechanisms for horizontal integration and coordination. Coordination is the managerial task of collaborating across departments. Collaboration is the joint effort between people from two or more departments to produce outcomes that meet a common goal or shared purpose and that are typically greater than what could be achieved working alone. And re-engineering is a radical redesign of business processes to achieve dramatic improvements. Exhibit 7.11 shows the evolution of organizational structures. Task force. Task force forces, teams, and project management. A task force is a temporary team or committee designed to solve a problem involving several departments. Project manager, a person who is responsible for coordinating the activities of several departments for the completion of a specific project. Project manager is not a member of one of the departments being coordinated. 7.12 shows the project manager relationships to other departments. As you can see, you have the president of the sailboat division. Then each of the departments are reporting to the project manager. Relational coordination. It's the highest level of horizontal coordination. Relational coordination, frequent horizontal coordination and communication carried out through ongoing relationships of shared goals, shared knowledge, and mutual respect. Employees coordinate directly with each other across units. Section 7.4, Factors Shaping. 7.13 shows you the factors affecting organization structure. So you have strategic needs, environment, strategy and goals, operational needs, technology, work, processes, and so then you have to come up with the optimum organizational structure. Structure follows strategy. Business performance is influenced by how well structure is aligned with strategy and needs of the environment. Structural responses to strategy and environment. You have mechanistic organizations, which efficiency is the goal in a stable environment, and then organic organizations, innovation is the goal in a rapidly changing environment. 7.14 shows the relationship of structural approach to strategy. Workflow technology. Workflow technology is the knowledge, tools, techniques, and activities used to transform organizational inputs into outputs. Woodward's categories, you have small batch production. Firms produce goods in batches of one or a few products designed to customer specification. Mass production, standardized production runs of a large volume of identical products. Continuous process production, entire workflow is mechanized and runs without stopping. Technical complexity, the degree to which machinery is used in production without people. How might organizational aspects such as customer service and business-to-business transactions differ based on the structure of a company that operates almost entirely online versus a brick-and-mortar company that only uses the internet for some things? Both companies are service organizations, but because Xfinity provides internet and cable television services to its customers, all of which require installation and/or repair work, it must operate a field service component to meet these requirements. Love to Know Media doesn't need a field operation. Xfinity operates brick-and-mortar stores across the country to sell their services and mobile phone products, which not only requires the inclusion of entirely different categories of employees from Love to Know Media, but also involves the operation and maintenance of equipment and vehicles. This concludes our discussion of Chapter 7, Designing Organizational Structure. Make sure that you read the chapter. Make sure that you create your discussion board post, respond to 2 of your classmates, and also make sure that you check to make sure you get any and all other assignments that are due this week turned in by Sunday at 11:55 p.m. As always, thank you and have a blessed week.